actually get you more money, to lie to you and tell you, we're going to tax these rich people. We already tax so much in LA, in California. I can't even comprehend taxing more. What's happening is we tax these people, and then other rich people, this champagne socialist scammers, steal that money because they're all connected to the people taxing it. And then the people that should see the money, the communities, the boys and girls clubs, the parks, the actual infrastructure doesn't see that money because different rich people stole the money that was being taxed from the rich people.
Okay, this is not like something you have to really figure out. Elect more communists. Yeah. That's a communist. Now, if Barack Obama or any reasonable Democrat had anybody on their staff who had that on their resume, it'd be like a huge scandal. But this guy, this is just where we are. Like communism, I said it. It's a political philosophy. It's an economic philosophy. You're allowed to believe it. You're allowed to vote for it. Mm-hmm. Let's just not pretend that that's not what...
Bill Maher has zero patience for what Zohran Mamdani is pulling in New York, and he made that crystal clear when he unloaded on him with both barrels. Maher believes radicals like Mamdani have absolutely no business anywhere near the Democratic Party, arguing his ideology is dangerously out of step. The takedown was brutal, surgical, and scorching, so slam that subscribe button because things are about to get...
The issue now that Andrew Cuomo is bringing up in New York is that he is a Ugandan citizen. Uganda is a country where they homosexuals.
So somebody who is a dual citizen can't be mayor of New York, or...
I would renounce, if I was the dual citizen with a country whose policy, government policy, was we homosexuals, yeah, I would renounce that citizenship. I don't, and he also...
I think that is buying into a fear. I think that is buying into a fear framework that is not good. It's not good for the country. It's not good for the country.
You shouldn't be afraid.
Maher goes straight for the jugular, exposing a glaring contradiction at the heart of Mamdani's carefully crafted public image. Here is a man who presents himself as a champion of LGBTQ rights and runs under the Democratic banner. Yet critics have questioned his reported citizenship ties to a country where homosexuality is criminalized. That isn't nuance. That is breathtaking hypocrisy. If your liberal convictions are genuine and not merely a political costume, renouncing that citizenship isn't radical. It's the bare minimum. It's a matter of basic principle. But Mamdani hasn't done it. He keeps that passport tucked away, undisturbed, and that silence speaks volumes. Maher's point cuts deep precisely because it's so simple. You cannot campaign on tolerance while maintaining ties to intolerance, which raises the uncomfortable question: does Mamdani actually believe a single word he preached?
To a degree that I would say is very close to communism. I'm talking about Mamdani. I'm talking about, I think, the mayor in Seattle maybe now.
One of my opponents.
And one of your opponents.
Yes.
Exactly. And again, look, communism is a form of government. You're allowed to back it. You're allowed to be it. You're allowed to vote for it. Let's just pretend that, one, we haven't tried it a lot around the world and it's a disaster. And two, that if you are, for like seizing personal property and certain other things that Mamdani or his very close lieutenants have said outright, home ownership is racist. If you are believing these radical things, yes, you are communist.
Danny proudly waves the Democratic Socialist banner, but Maher isn't buying the label, not even slightly. According to Maher, what Mamdani represents is not the Scandinavian-style socialism American progressives often romanticize, but a more radical ideology that he believes voters should take seriously. And here's where Maher makes a critical distinction. He isn't attacking Mamdani for having unconventional political beliefs. That's not the argument. The argument is that these systems simply do not work. History has delivered that verdict repeatedly, brutally, and without ambiguity. But between socialism and communism, Maher reserves his sharpest alarm for the latter, and that, he believes, is Mamdani's true ideological home. Not the friendly, approachable socialism of college campus discussions, but communist-style politics dressed in progressive language. Maher's warning is pointed and deliberate. A wolf doesn't become less dangerous simply because it shows up wearing a particularly convincing disguise. The ideology remains what
has captivated people because everyone has, this is my thought.
Sure.
I feel like people are all hyped on socialism because they're like, everything's so expensive, America's failed, give me money. But what they're forgetting is all the people that these socialists are saying they're taking the money and giving, they're going to leave. And then they're not going to have any money to take from these people to give to you. I keep telling people the way we get you money is stopping the socialism, letting the successful rich people build businesses, build restaurants, put money into your pocket because there's more jobs, there's more opportunity.
Our guest, Spencer Pratt, landed what might be the most devastatingly simple argument of the entire conversation, and it stopped everything cold. Mamdani and his ideological allies have built their entire political brand around one seductive battle cry: tax the rich, redistribute the wealth, close the gap. It sounds righteous, it sounds revolutionary, but here's the catastrophic flaw they conveniently ignore. The rich aren't trees. They don't have roots. They have private jets, offshore accounts, and armies of financial advisors whose entire purpose is protecting generational wealth. Push them hard enough, and they simply leave. They relocate. And when that happens, when that tax base evaporates overnight, who funds the government's grand socialist ambitions? The answer is painfully predictable. The middle class gets crushed under the weight of an ideology that promised them salvation. Pratt's point was razor sharp. You cannot build a utopia on a foundation that can pack up and fly away.
Actually get you more money to lie to you and tell you, we're going to tax these rich people. We already tax so much in LA, in California. I can't even comprehend taxing more. What's happening is we tax these people, and then other rich people, this champagne socialist scammers, steal that money because they're all connected to the people taxing it. And then the people that should see the money, the communities, after the boys and girls clubs, the parks, the actual infrastructure doesn't see that money because different.
Spencer Pratt peels back another layer of this elaborate ideological con, and what's underneath is as infuriating as it is unsurprising. The taxes already being collected, the money already flowing into government coffers, aren't reaching the communities that need it most. It isn't trickling down to struggling neighborhoods, crumbling schools, or desperate families. So where is it going? Pratt points the finger directly at the very architects of this redistributive fantasy, the wealthy socialist class itself. The same polished politicians standing on podiums demanding the rich pay their fair share are still operating inside the very system they criticize. They are not outside the machine demanding change. They are part of it. Critics argue this creates a cycle of performative outrage where bold promises are made to struggling voters, while the system itself remains largely unchanged. Mamdani and his allies aren't dismantling the corrupt system. They're simply auditioning to sit at its most profitable
And I'm sure, Mamdani is watching this right now, as he always does, I'm sure, and saying, exactly, Bill, that's my point. Capitalism is terrible. Yeah, it's terrible, except it's still better than the reverse.
Yeah. Well,
you want to really be... Soviet people died at 38 from being drunk all the time because they couldn't take their life under communism.
My girlfriend is Polish. She was born into communism. She lived under it for a little while, and she shakes her head. She's like, they don't know what they're asking for. They don't know what they're talking about.
And it would be so easy to find out. It wasn't like it happened 1,000 years ago.
Exactly.
It happened in our lifetimes.
She would explain to me the grocery card they got. She got a grocery card. Her family got a grocery card, and they would...
This is Poland.
Yeah.
Warsaw?
Yeah. And you were allowed, your family of 4, you get X amount.
Here's the brutal, uncomfortable truth. People like Mamdani, who championed communism with such passionate conviction, have likely never genuinely reckoned with its catastrophic historical track record. And that ignorance isn't innocent. It's willful, because the evidence isn't hidden. It isn't classified or buried in obscure academic journals. The historical record of failed communist experiments stretches across continents, including the Soviet Union's collapse, China's Cultural Revolution, Cuba's long economic struggles, and Venezuela's collapse. Every chapter ends the same way, but ideologues like Mamdani would rather craft compelling campaign slogans than crack open a history book. Now, capitalism isn't without its profound sins. The inequality, the exploitation, the yawning gap between the powerful and the powerless. Nobody reasonable is pretending otherwise. But the moment you compare capitalism's failures with the human cost of communist regimes, there is no genuine competition. One system needs fixing, the other needs a tombstone.
You get X amount of eggs per week. You get X, and then you take that card to the store, which sometimes didn't have any of the stuff on your card. Sometimes they just had we're long on toilet paper today.
Oh, yeah.
So take some toilet paper, but come back tomorrow and maybe we'll have what's on your list.
It doesn't work. Humans need to be incentivized by selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
It is nature to be selfish. Animals are selfish.
Yeah.
Watch them.
Yeah. I heard a song the other day, and it was, of course, all things are exaggerated, but it was basically, capitalism isn't bad because you
Something that no amount of ideological wishful thinking can legislate away. Human beings are fundamentally irreversibly self-interested, and before anyone recoils at that statement, understand this. Selfishness isn't civilization's villain. It's actually its engine. The drive to protect yourself, provide for your family, outwork your competition, and build something that belongs to you. That primal instinct is precisely what has pushed humanity forward through every era of progress. Communism's fatal miscalculation is believing that the right political system can simply reprogram this deeply embedded human wiring. It cannot. It never has. Because when you strip away personal incentive, when effort and laziness receive identical rewards, something dies inside the human spirit. Why grind? Why innovate? Why sacrifice? Equal distribution of resources sounds beautifully fair in theory, but in brutal practice, it manufactures mediocrity on an industrial scale. You cannot build an exceptional society by systematically dismantling every reason a person has to be exceptional.
The waste of human capital. The Polish people, for example, they're very smart, crafty, capable people, and as soon as they threw off the shackles of communism, Poland has done very well since.
They're ascending right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Warsaw, I'm sure, is a very vibrant, prosperous city.
For a major city, it is unbelievably safe.
Have you gone there?
Yes. Been to Poland. It's beautiful.
So she goes back to see family. And
Here's precisely why socialism and communism trigger such deep, visceral resistance across the American psyche. They suffocate the very instincts that built modern civilization. America's entire cultural DNA is wired around one intoxicating proposition: work harder, dream bigger, and reap rewards proportional to your effort. It's the foundational promise that has historically separated this nation from the rest. But communism arrives and systematically dismantles that proposition entirely. Why pour your soul into developing a gift when the system treats your masterpiece and your neighbor's mediocrity as perfectly equal? Why burn midnight oil perfecting a craft, launching a business, or pioneering a breakthrough when the reward is identical regardless? Creativity doesn't thrive under mandate. It flourishes under motivation. Innovation doesn't emerge from bureaucratic decree. It explodes from personal hunger and burning ambition. Strip away the reward, and you don't just kill the drive, you bury the dream itself permanently. And
chance, come on, Bill. I'm a born and raised a New Yorker. Let's see what he can do.
What?
Okay. We can. Let's see what he can do. But we already know what he is because it's in his own statements and the people he hires.
Yep.
I talked about him. You say you watch it. You must have seen this. The first show was talking about this woman who is his like the head of his big issue is the rent. He's the rent is too damn high guy, and that's a good issue, and affordability is a great issue. And but I said, how do I know he's a communist? Well, I'm reading between the lines when he hired someone who says word for word, let's elect more
Democrats are rushing to Mamdani's defense, insisting the communist label is unfair, overblown, and rooted in deliberate mischaracterization. Just misunderstood, they say. Words taken out of context, they argue. But Maher isn't having it, and he arrives armed with receipts. Because if you genuinely want to understand a leader's true ideological convictions, don't just scrutinize the leader. Examine who they deliberately choose to surround themselves with. And Mamdani's appointments speak with remarkable clarity. Take Say Weaver, one of his chosen allies, who previously suggested that home ownership can function as part of a racially unequal system, even though many Americans see it as a cornerstone of the American dream and generational wealth building. That isn't misunderstood progressive language. That is radical ideology wearing a policy hat. Maher's argument lands with surgical precision. A man is defined not merely by his words, but by the company he deliberately enthusiastically keeps.
Something you have to really figure out. Elect more communists. Yeah. That's a communist. Now, if Barack Obama or any reasonable Democrat had anybody on their staff who had that on their resume, it'd be like a huge scandal. But this guy, this is just where we are. Like communism, I said it. I'm not a. It's a political philosophy. It's an economic philosophy. You're allowed to believe it. You're allowed to vote for it. Let's just not pretend that that's not what
this entire conversation ultimately reveals is something profoundly important. Ideas have consequences, and the wrong ideas in the wrong hands carry devastating ones. Maher, whatever your opinion of him, performed a genuine public service by dissecting Mamdani's ideology with unflinching honesty. The questions surrounding his reported citizenship ties, the romantic illusions about communism, the hollow tax the rich battle cry, and the appointments that critics say reveal his ideological direction, none of it survives serious scrutiny. And that's precisely the point. Americans deserve leaders whose convictions are authentic, whose policies are grounded in historical reality, and whose vision doesn't require dismantling human nature itself to function. Capitalism needs reform, absolutely, urgently, without question, but the answer to an imperfect system was never a historically catastrophic one. Mamdani isn't a misunderstood progressive, he's a walking contradiction wrapped in revolutionary language. And Bill Maher, to his considerable credit, refused to let that contradiction go unexamined. And on this note, we draw the curtains on today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.